The fall of the Vanderlyn gang is often contributed to rats, poor leadership, and the Pinkerton Detective Agency. But what if I told you there was someone behind the scenes, scheming and planning against Dutch and his crew? He only appears in 3 missions, but his impact on the story goes beyond what anyone expected. This character is Colm O'Driscoll. Colm O'Driscoll is the leader of the rival gang to the Vanderlyns, the O'Driscolls. These two gangs have an extensive history against one another, and throughout the story we get a deeper understanding on the relationship between Colm and Dutch. In the beginning, both gangs were allies to each other. Colm and Dutch ran their gangs respectively and there was no animosity between them. But this changed when Dutch killed Colm's brother.
I am sorry about your brother.
Yeah, well, I never liked him much.
It's unknown for why he did this, but in retaliation, Colm killed Dutch's partner Annabelle. The gangs would then be rivals for the coming years, constantly in a war over their leaders' killings of each other's loved ones. Over this time, the O'Driscolls would grow to become one of the largest gangs across the United States, with the O'Driscolls having outposts all across West Elizabeth, New Hanover, and Amberino. Colm valued quantity over quality with the members of his gang. He would work with anybody as long as it seen him getting what he wanted. While Dutch valued loyalty and having a strong connection with his small gang of 26 people, Colm simply used his men as pawns to get what he wanted. While Dutch seen every member in his gang as family, as well as Dutch having women and children within his gang, something Colm didn't have for the simple fact he saw his gang as a group of criminals, while Dutch would never label his gang as that. The difference in values and philosophy for the two men could be another reason why they never seen eye to eye. But one thing they both have in common is a burning hatred for each other. We first learn of this conflict in Chapter 1, where in the very first mission of the game, we interrogate an O'Driscoll member to get an understanding on why they're up in the mountains with us.
At an old mining camp southwest of here, we're fixing to rob some train.
Though Arthur is skeptical of Dutch's true intentions, the gang agree to take out the O'Driscoll hideout to get an idea on what they were planning. A train heist involving blowing up the track and robbing a private train car. Dutch believes it to be a good idea, but Hosea thinks robbing oil tycoon Leviticus Cornwall can only lead to trouble. And he is absolutely right, since after successfully robbing Cornwall's train, he comes to us in Chapter 2 with the Pinkerton Detective Agency to bring Dutch in. But this automatically raises a question. How did Cornwall know it was the Vanderlyn gang who robbed him? At the very end of the train heist mission, we have a choice to let Cornwall's men go. So you might say they were the ones to alert Cornwall of Dutch and his crew. But this plot point doesn't change if you choose to kill them, which brings us back to the question, how did Cornwall know? Well, this is where the theory comes in. After finding all his men killed at the abandoned mine, Colm knows of Dutch's next move, so he goes straight to Cornwall and the Pinkertons to snitch against Dutch in a form of revenge. We already know Colm would do anything to gain an advantage over Dutch, even if that means breaking any code that there's honor amongst thieves. We also see this exact scenario play out in Chapter 3, in the mission Blessed are the Peacemakers. After baiting Dutch into a trap to kidnap Arthur, Colm plans to lure the entire Vanderlyn gang into rescuing him. Then the Pinkertons would be waiting to arrest the gang. Colm believes doing this will make the Pinkertons turn a blind eye to their activities.
The way I see it, they get him, they forget about me. They ain't forgetting, sure.
Of course, we never know if this would happen because Arthur breaks loose and returns to camp. Now, there is one part of this theory that I didn't mention yet, and it's because it's part of my own interpretation of the game. And that is, Micah was working with the O'Driscolls. Now, in a video about Colm O'Driscoll, it might seem confusing to focus on Micah. But to understand the full scope behind exactly how many informants were working against the Vanderlyn gang, we have to explore the character of Micah Bell. Micah joined the gang 6 months prior to the story. He saved Dutch's life in a bar and ever since has been riding with the Vanderlyns. This means he's the newest member and also the most problematic, constantly getting into arguments with other members and also not believing in the gang's values. He's in it for the money, and he's playing Dutch without Dutch ever realizing. This is because Micah is a master manipulator. But one person is able to see straight through Micah's lies, and that person is Arthur. He sees Micah's true intentions, to use people to make a quick buck. Dutch doesn't see the bad in Micah, so in chapter 2 when Micah is arrested, Dutch sends Arthur to go break him out. And when we do, there's an interesting detail about the cutscene.
Let's get out of here, come on. What the hell are you doing?
He wasn't O'Driscoll.
Who is this and why does Micah kill him? Obviously he's an O'Driscoll, but it's such a strange detail to add. I believe Micah kills him because of what they discussed in that cell. The O'Driscoll could have explained how Colm is secretly working with the Pinkertons to bring Dutch in. This would give Micah an idea. Work with the O'Driscolls to bring Dutch in for the reward of $1,000. Further evidence is the fact that we can find Dutch's bounty poster at Micah's campsite. This brings us to chapter 3 in the mission previously discussed, Blessed are the Peacemakers. I want you to watch this cutscene with the preconceived notion that Micah is secretly working with Colm in this mission.
Dutch. It's peace, Dutch. The O'Driscolls. I think there's a way.
Get the words out properly, fat man.
We got to talking, and they suggested a parlay to end things.
Have you lost your minds?
They're always telling us, Dutch, do what has to be done, but don't fight wars ain't worth fighting.
They want a parley? It's a trap.
Well, of course, it's probably a trap, but what do we got to lose finding out?
Get shot.
He ain't getting shot because he'll be protecting us.
Notice how Micah already had the plan in mind. Have Arthur on lookout in case of a trap. It just so happens that the O'Driscoll's plan involved Arthur being on lookout. He even instructs Arthur on where to be later in the mission.
All right, cowpoke. You're gonna peel off up ahead.
Now we've already established that Micah doesn't care about the gang. So why would he care about settling the conflict between the O'Driscolls and the Vanderlands? To put simply, he doesn't. During the point in time in which Micah is staying in his own campsite in chapter 2, he goes to Hanging Dog Ranch to convince Colm and the Pinkertons of a plan. Set up a meeting between Colm and Dutch, then kidnap Arthur while he's on lookout. After this, the gang would come looking for Arthur, but they fall into the trap and are taken into custody. An interesting detail that adds credibility to the theory is the fact that we can find Pinkerton agent hats within the O'Driscoll's headquarters, Hanging Dog Ranch. This all adds up. Micah having Dutch's bounty poster as well as his close proximity to Hanging Dog Ranch. To discredit the theory, you could point out the fact that Micah and Arthur interfere with the O'Driscoll's plan to rob a stagecoach. My rebuttal is that Micah was playing both sides, since again Micah's whole character is driven by greed. But once all said and done, the plan would have worked out perfectly for all sides. Colm is able to get off scot-free, Micah gets his share of the reward from turning Dutch in, and the Pinkertons finish their job for Cornwall. A win-win-win. Now obviously the mission doesn't play out like that. With Arthur escaping, it means the deal between the O'Driscolls and the Pinkertons is off the table. So now the Pinkertons have to target another weakness in the Vanderland gang, Micah Bell. Now you might be confused. Agent Milton says Micah has been working with them only since chapter 5. So why doesn't he mention the fact that Micah helped the O'Driscolls in chapter 3? My guess is that he means Micah has been directly working with them since chapter 5. This is because Micah was working for the O'Driscolls and the O'Driscolls were working for the Pinkertons. The chain of command was simply different. While the Pinkertons are focused on Micah, Colm is arrested by a deputy and subsequently put on trial, during which he is sentenced to be hanged in Saint Denis. And there's no interference from the Pinkertons. They move on to their new informant and throw away the old one. Colm's death leaves the O'Driscolls without a leader, and soon after, Arthur and Sadie take care of the rest of the gang. While Dutch's gang is taken out from blind loyalty to a rat, Colm is taken out from working with authorities. His revengeful nature against Dutch is what leads to his death. While Dutch's inability to see the truth about Micah is what leads to the gang's end, both Colm and Dutch fall because of their values. Both completely different, yet both have a similar outcome. With the rise of detective agencies, there was no way either of them could survive the dying Wild West.